Welcome to edusati.com, your partner in education. In this session, we'll continue our discussion about high frequency words. In case you've missed or you've not seen the first lecture, please, you can go and do that as well. But I'll just brief you up that what are we going to discuss here. We're going to discuss certain difficult word meanings and their keys, that how can we memorize these words. Now, why are we doing so is because following the normal etymological route will not give us a good answer to the, or good meaning or good definition to the given word. So what do is that we relate it to a normal layman language and we make certain keys by which we can memorize these words. Herein we have discussed certain words and their meanings and their keys. If you find a better way of memorizing, do take that way, because at the end of it we are here just to learn. So please be sure that you're able to give these memorize these words nicely. And we'll start our discussion with the words that start with the alphabet E. The first word that we have is egalitarian, which is a belief in social and economic equality for all. How can I memorize this word? I'll say that egalitarian, egg, we all know that egg. So we say eggs for all. So that is, you're giving eggs to any and everybody who comes, that you're treating everybody equal because you're giving the equal number of eggs to everybody and anybody. So that becomes egalitarian, which is a belief that everybody is socially and economically equal. Enfranchise is to grant citizenship. Franchising something is basically to outletting someone your legal rights of working, right? So if a country is giving you a franchisee to stay there, that is, it is granting you citizenship, it is enfranchising you, right? Next we have esoteric, which is hard to understand. Right. If I word this, if I speak this word, it somewhat sounds like it's too tiring, right? It's too ought. Taric, it's like tiring. So it's too tiring because thus it is very hard to understand. So it is esoteric. Espouse is to support and advocate. Now we all know what is a spouse. Spouse is your legal like lawfully wedded husband or wife, right? So he's your spouse, he or she is your spouse, and you always support or advocate for him or her, right? That is you'll always stand or back her or him, right? So as like you do it with your spouse, if you're doing it for anybody or anything, you are espousing it. Ethereal is heavenly or like an ether. Now, you know what is an ether? It's a substance that basically sounds very sweet. It's a sweet smelling substance, ether, right? Since it's sweet, it's used in perfumes, and whenever you sniff a perfume, you get that heavenly fragrance out of it, right? So ethereal is heavenly, or since perfumes are very light, they do not have any mass or weight, so ethereal also can be used for as light as ether. It's something that is as much weighs as much as any feather or any ether. Evanescent is happening only for a brief time, right? So something that will vanish very quickly is evanescent. It will go very, very quickly. Exonerate is free from blame. So anybody was honored, or he was disparaged, so he was honored, and now he's an ex-honored person, honored in the sarcastic manner. Sarcastic honor, now he's an ex-honored, now he's free from blame. Let's discuss certain words with F. We have faction, which is a group. So faction, we know what is a fraction. Fraction is any number like this, right? So which is not a fraction. It is a complete thing. Since it's a complete thing, it is into a group. So its faction becomes a group. Fastidious is meticulous or demanding, right? If anybody is standing on your head and saying fast, he's asking you to do something fast. Fast to do. He's asking you to do something fast. So he's very demanding. Just give me anything. He's being meticulous or demanding, so that person is fastidious. Fatalist is someone who believes everything is predestined, that everything is written already and it's gonna happen as and when what is destined. He believes in destiny, so he's a fatalist. How do I memorize this? Fat or fate, alist exists. So person who says that the fate exists is a fatalist. Farcical is absurd. It's like a farce, which is something that's not true. It is false. Farce, and we all know that farce means something false. So farcical is absurd. That is not true. Fecund is productive and fertile. How do I memorize this? I say fec. Fec comes from fetch, and un is like earn. So you fetch or earn something from this very commodity, so it is a fecund commodity. It's very productive or it is fertile. It can be used for people as well. Since Anna was fecund, was not fecund, she could not bear a baby. That is, she was not fertile. Her fertility was gone. Fetter is to hamper or restrain. How do I memorize this? I'll say F stands for false, and fetter is etter comes from better. So it's a false better. That it is not actually better. It is basically restraining you or it is hampering your work. Fortuitous is by chance. So if anything that happens per chance, it happens fortuitously. How do I memorize this? Fortuitous comes from fortune. So fortune does this. Fortune did this. But per chance we met, so it was because of our fortunes that we met. So it is fortuitous. Founder is fail, collapse, or sink. It is a homophone of flounder, which is a fat fish, right? And it basically is very sluggish while swimming. So founder is a fail thing. It is not very good. So it collapses or sinks, right? So flounder, it floats inside the water because it floats below the sea level. So it floats below the sea level. It is a fish, right? So founder is like a flounder, which is fat, so it will collapse and it will sink. Let's discuss certain words that start with either G or H. We have genteel, which is refined, and it is a homophone of gentle, so you can very well relate it. Hedonism is pursuit of life as pleasures. Now this word has don in it and he as well. So some man behaves like a don, and what does a don do? He's living a very flamboyant life. He's always seen involved into things of pleasure. So someone who behaves like a don, that is, he pursues his life full of pleasures. So that person is a hedonist. Heyday is a golden age. Now hay is of golden color, right? So heyday, that you have reared a lot of hay in that day. That is so much of gold coming in. That is, it's a very good or prime age. So it becomes the heyday. Let's discuss certain words that start with I. We have iconoclast, that is somebody who attacks popular beliefs. How can I memorize this word? That is icon and clast. You can replace class with B, so you have icon blast. So somebody who blasts the well-known icons, it could be a person or a belief itself, is an iconoclast. Immutable is unchangeable. So if I break this word, I have im plus mute plus able. Something that cannot be muted. Which cannot be muted, that is, it will be prevalent as it is like. So it cannot be changed. So it is unchangeable. So immutable is unchangeable. Infinitesimal is very, very, very small. Something that is very minuscule. How do I memorize this? Infinite plus simul comes from small. So infinitesimal is infinitely small. So infinite and simul is small. Innocuous is harmless. Now if we are adept of Hindi, we will say cushed or cuous, they are homophones. Cushed is harm. So in cushed, that is no cushed. In no cushed, that is in no cushed. So it is harmless. Insatiable is hard to satisfy. In means not, right? In or no or with against, right? And satiable comes from satisfy or sit as well. So that person will not sit on anything permanently, or very easily. So that is insatiable. Insinuate is to hint. So insinuate, that is you give sin or sign. So you've given a sign of something. So you are hinting that person. Intransigent is stubborn. Trans we already have done in the first video, which says across. So intransigent is basically that will not change. Itinerant is person who moves from place to place. It is a word that comes from itinerary, which is a ledger of where and when will you go somewhere, right? So if you made an itinerary, it defines that at what time will you be where. So a person who follows that itinerary, that will be moving from place to place at different times, that is an itinerant. Let's take some words from J to L. We have juxtaposed, which is placed side to side. For example, I say black and white. Now, black and white are opposites and they're kept together, right? So we have juxtaposed. So it's just opposites which are kept together. Languish, which comes from languor, which means that is very weak. So languor plus is languish. Labyrinth is maze-like. So if you give a child or a baby a pen and you ask him to write, what sort of writing would be? Something like this, which is not straight, right? So laby or baby and rith is right. So it's something like a baby has written. It's like a maze, which is very hard to decode. So it is labyrinth. Let's have some words from M and N. We have machination, which is scheming activity for evil purpose. How can I memorize this? Match this nation. And by match, I mean the matchstick match. That you fire this nation. You're putting this nation on fire. That is, you're going against the nation. Or you're doing something evil for the nation. So if you're making an activity for evil purposes, you are involved into machination. Maudlin, which is silly. So it's a model instead of the original, and models are not as perfect as they are. They are basically counterfeit. So maudlin is silly or bad. Maverick is rebel. So move that brick or trick. If somebody is giving you some work and you're saying move that work and not do it, so you're being rebellious. So that is maverick. Mercenary is to do anything for money. How can I memorize this? Me rec nary or money. So you require money, so I'll do anything for money, so I'm a mercenary person. Moribund is dying, which is more bound. How can I memorize this? More bound. Since it's not bound, it is very much bound, it will not move freely, so that means it is so it will die eventually because its aspirations are not being fulfilled, so it is moribund. Narcissism is excessive love for oneself. It's like Narcissus. Narcissus is a Greek, it comes into Greek mythology. It's the name of a guy who saw his reflection into the water and he fall in love with himself. That, oh my God, I'm so beautiful. Eventually, he turned into a flower. Right, so he was so obsessed with his love that it was counted as a sin and he was turned into a flower. So somebody who loves himself a lot, we say he's a narcissus. He's a narcissism. He's involved into narcissism. We have nebulous, which is hazy. You might be aware of a nebulizer that usually people use to take steam. Now, if the steam leaks out of a nebulizer, it will fill up the entire place, and if the place is filled up with steam, you'll not be able to see anything. So nebulous is hazy because it's filled with the steam of a nebulizer, right? So that is how we can relate it and memorize the word. Nihilism is no value for money, and we already know nihil comes from nil, right? So nihilism, that is, you do not value it. Value what? Money. Let's have some words with P. We have peccadillo, which is minor offense. Now, Piccadilly is a place, it's a very posh place, which is known for pickpocketing. Right? And pickpocketing is not a very grave offense, it's a minor offense. So, peccadillo is something that is a minor offense. Penchant is a strong liking. How can I memorize this? That you're penning something, the same thing, penning is writing, and chanting, that's speaking. right? So you're speaking and writing about the same thing that you have. Why are you doing that? Because you like it as much. So it's a strong liking. Perennial is continual. How can I memorize this? Per annual, right? So every year it happens. Perjury is lying under an oath. It's if you break it, you'll be able to make the key. Perjury, as per the jury law. So as per the law. Why are you following the law? Because you have taken an oath, right? So perjury is taking an lying under the oath. Petulant is rude. How can I memorize this? Pet and blunt. A blunt pet. Blunt is rude, right? So it's like a blunt pet, so it is rude. Precursor is something that goes before. You might be knowing what is a cursor. It's a blinking thing that you see on your computer screens. Whenever you write something, the cursor moves further, right? So it's like as per cursor. So precursor is something that goes before, right? For example, I take an example that a sore throat is a precursor of cold, right, or flu. And if you have a sore throat, that is a sign that you're going to catch a flu. So it's a precursor. That gets us to the end of the discussion of high frequency words. Here again, I'll just ask you that please do not think that these are the only words that we can discuss. There are so many different words. Keep on making a list of these words and make your own keys. That will help you a lot. Thank you and have a nice day.